what is your earliest or first memory of NOMHE?
I remember joining in on some meetings in general as a non um, as a non-board advisory member. So I just remember being on the meetings um, because my line of work is working with Native American / Indigenous health efforts. So I thought it was particularly important that I attend the meetings and just see what insights or areas of concern or prioritization for our communities, um, that it was important for me to join in on them. And I think at some point, um, Tina uh, had told me that one of their advisory members had to his 2-year tenure was up, and so she asked if I would consider joining as an advisory member at that point. And of course, I happily accepted, and it was an honor to be considered, and then especially to sit on as an advisor for NOMI.
That is awesome. Sounds good. Then we'll do the next question. And this could be either a one-parter or two-parter based on how you, based on your feedback. What has been NOMI's greatest impact on your organization and or the community that you live in?
As a Native American, uh, I feel a lot of times our community is invisible, and we're often overlooked for multiple factors. I think people tend to um, tend to designate us in our reservation-based settings, um, and that's not always the case, right? A lot of us, our community members, live in urban settings and not particularly on our reservations. And so um, I think one of the biggest insights is just granting feedback of both reservation uh, and urban Native Americans, because each experience different challenges when accessing different points of healthcare and different healthcare resources, especially when it comes to funding, because I think the state doesn't automatically think of tribes because they're their own sovereign jurisdiction, right? A tribe is their own domestic sovereign, just like a state is their own sovereign entity. So oftentimes, I think we're often overlooked too when it comes to funding, that the state assumes that tribes are designated a subset of funding from the federal level, and then oftentimes that the state overlooks the tribe when it comes to different funding mechanisms and resources because the tribe is their own domestic sovereign entity. So just making sure that tribes had equitable access to different resources from the state level was really important for me to prioritize. So I think just giving the feedback because I understand how tribes function and their levels of funding when it comes from the federal government, but also how the state can also continue to support, even though the tribe is its own sovereign.
Gotcha. Wow, that's a very detailed answer. Okay. I love it. I love it. That is a yeah, that it's a very specific community that you work with, so I'm happy that that was explained. Perfect. Okay. And then we can jump to the third question is what do you see as NOMI's potential for future impact?
I think it's a great resource. I think the ability, especially it's designated um, to make sure that there's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it continues the efforts because although some people may deem those words as illegitimate or unnecessary, um, in a derogatory context, that D&I should just go away. I absolutely disagree with that mindset um, that we should be um, diverse because diversity brings a lot of different ideas. I actually just had a conversation that corporations who have a lot of diversity within their work environments, it actually helps their bottom line because you have so many people bringing in different ideas and how to address certain issues, and that it brings more breadth and depth into the scope of areas that we need. I'm sure a lot of people are not familiar with Native Americans and our tribal sovereignty. So me sitting on the board, I was able to not only inform a lot of people who might not have had a lot of knowledge about tribal specific issues and resources. I just wonder if I had not had the ability to sit on a board such as this, then who would actually be able to voice uh, the concerns on behalf of a community like ours. So I expect NOMI's future efforts to continue much needed efforts to make sure all communities have access, have a voice, and work hand in hand with NOMI strategic uh, sessions and planning and efforts as they move forward.
That is great to hear, and we will continue working on that. That's
Perfect.
wonderful.